I'm Carolyn Hancock, and this is Letters from Japan with a side trip to Seoul, South Korea. National Sports Day in Japan, so it's a work holiday for Bill. Monday, October 10, 1994. It gives us a chance to relax a little before our trip to Seoul, South Korea. We are leaving at 6:30 a.m. before the vet opens, so Debbie has to spend the night at what is here called hotel rather than kennel. Fortunately, there is an animal hospital vet a few blocks away on Homokudori. The doctor speaks English, even has a Colorado degree on the wall. Debbie did not want to go with him and was pulling against the leash, so I said, "Just tell her to come." Of course, Debbie only heard the word "come" from my voice and tried to do just that, almost taking the doc off his feet. Bill ushered me out quickly, chagrin on my face, laughter all over his. Seoul is supposed to be a terrific shopping district, discount city for clothes and shoes, as many of those things are made there. So we packed light, taking 2 suitcases with only one change of clothes, planning to buy clothes in Seoul. The reason for going was to get a work visa for Japan for Bill. Aramco did not get this done for the project team before we left California, so they have to pay the expenses of employee and dependents travel to a Japanese embassy outside of Japan. Seoul is the closest. With Aramco picking up the travel tab, we added a couple of days vacation to the trip. We spent most of our time in the markets, shopping, and very little sightseeing. Seoul is kind of hard to describe. It's a lot like Tokyo, with a number of very old palaces and gardens around which the city developed. It's really not a pretty city. The buildings and sidewalks seem dirty. The architecture of the buildings in downtown Seoul is plain. But again, remember, we did not do sightseeing. The transit system is much like Tokyo. Lots of subways, trains, buses, taxis. The difference is in price. Tokyo's subway average distance is about $3.50 versus 35 cents in Seoul. Taxis here start at $6, in Seoul about $1.25, if you know the system, which we at first did not. Seoul, of course, has a different currency and rate, just as we are getting comfortable with the yen. Korea has the won. The exchange rate at the airport gave us 10,000 won for $12. At the airport, Bill asked the tourist information clerk the best way to get downtown. She said taxi is cheap, about $12 to get to a hotel, and many of them. We went outside the terminal to the taxi queue. Taxi driver solicitously takes our luggage, opens the back door to a brand new car, leather seats, nice car. About 15 minutes from the airport, the taxi meter ticks up past 15,000, with another 15 minutes to go. By the time we reach the hotel, with a charge equivalent to $25, we are thinking the airport lady lied. The next day, after watching the taxis, I realized there are 2 kinds. The yellow top says deluxe on the side. The blue top doesn't. And later, I find in a book that yellow tops start at 3,000 won and go up fast. The plain car blue tops start at 1,000. Aramco booked our room at the Hotel President. However, it's a room no president would stay in. Run down, dingy looking, at the too high price of $150 a night. But here we are for 2 nights. And again, remember, please, this is 1994. I'm sure things have changed in the meantime. We were settled in our room by 3:30 and thought maybe we could find the Japanese embassy and get started on our visa application. The procedure is to fill out a form, leave it, come back the next day to pick up the visa. With a tourist map in hand and advice from a Korean information center, Korean pedestrian, and finally Korean policeman, we found the embassy. Our forms were almost completed when, on the button of 4 o'clock, the curtains behind the application windows closed and people disappeared. We were too late. This is kind of a what moment. We moseyed back toward the hotel, having a street snack across the street from the grounds of the palace. The rain started and broke up a festival-type dance music exhibition in front of the Sejong Cultural Center, which we happened to walk by. One sometimes confusing thing to do is cross the street. Most of the big intersections have underground X-shaped crossings. Pedestrians are not allowed to cross the surface street. So you go underground, hoping not to lose your bearings. Some lead to subway stations. Many have underground shopping. As we found out throughout our visit, they are also a welcome place to get out of the rain. Bill selected the Itaewon Garden for our dinner. It's on the south side of the city, on the other side of a small mountain. Because of the rain, Bill asked the bellboy to get us a taxi. He explained there were high and low. Which did we want? Since we asked for the cheaper taxi, imagine our displeasure finding ourselves stuck in traffic in the middle of a very long tunnel under the mountain. No way out, and the meter ticking higher and higher. Again, we had gotten tourist trapped into the deluxe cab. Since the driver did not understand our restaurant's name, Bill gave him a close-by hotel name. We got out in the rain, cold rain, trying to find our place to eat. You know how the street hawkers in New Orleans do, trying to lure you into their place? We found the same in our search of Itaewon Garden, not written in English. So we were tricked again. We told the man on the street the name of the one we wanted, and he said, "This is it," and sent us upstairs. We asked the waitress what the name of the restaurant was, and she said something that was not Itaewon Garden. We went back outside, and the hawker kept saying, same thing, cheaper, cheaper." But we moved on down the street, where we repeated the same thing until we finally got to the right place. It was actually nothing more than an upstairs patio or porch that had been covered and semi-walled in. Or maybe it was just the roof of a short building between two taller ones, and a tarp had been put across the top. Anyway, we were ready to pay our money and take our chances. And what an eating experience it was. We decided on 2 orders of bulgogi, a Korean specialty. but the waitress said, "No, no," shaking her finger, for some reason insisting we not get two. And finally she conveyed what she wanted us to order. The table had a hole in the center, into which she placed a pot filled with hot coal, and the warmth was very welcome. She then started bringing out dishes of foods, placing some short ribs and vegetables on the grill, pointing at stuff we should start eating. The procedure turns out to be the Korean version of a fajita. Put a lettuce-type leaf in your left hand. On the lettuce, put the meat from the ribs, something similar to coleslaw, any of the vegetables on the table, and some of the bulgogi, which is a shredded beef already cooked in the kitchen. Roll the lettuce up like a fajita. It tastes really good, and it reminds me of lunch at Yumiko's. Anyway, from plain to spicy to tart, all tastes were on the table. We finished with 23 dishes around us. It was a very enjoyable dinner, after which we found a cheap taxi who seemed to know the best route home. Here's a go-figure funny thing. During our whole trip, we get in a taxi, tell him our destination, and he doesn't know the word. We give him a close-by landmark, which he does know, but he takes us to the actual destination, the word he didn't know. I'll leave you with my thought for the day. Try to find your own way. Even if you get duped and tricked, it might be worth the experience. Thanks for listening. Remember to follow and let your friends know about Letters from Japan.